What's going on, Jerome's? Happy Tuesday. Brian Flores is your new defensive coordinator, and it's time to get going. And when coaches move from team to team, generally there's a trend of former players who are free agents all of a sudden, coming along because they know the scheme. They can implement things from day one. They can set the culture and the tone. Even though Flores is only the coordinator, I think that he certainly is going to have some influence on the personnel side of things, especially since he started as a scout. So here are five Flores-related free agents on the defense that the Vikings need to add. Also, they're value free agents, and that's something that is going to be important for the Vikings this offseason. Number one, cornerback, safety, DB, Eric Rowe. Now, yes, Eric Rowe is 30. He's more of a jack of all trades, master of none sort of defensive back, but he can play cornerback, he can play slot, he can play free safety, he can play box safety, he can do everything. Won 2 Super Bowls in New England with Flores, followed him to Miami as a free agent. Stayed there for 4 seasons and is now currently a free agent. And it would make sense for Flores to bring Eric Rowe up to Minnesota. Rowe's not going to cost a lot. I think that he certainly could and should be one of those value free agents that the Vikings should pick up because he'll know the scheme. He's a leader, and he can certainly help some of these new young defensive backs. Plus, his versatility will be a plus in the defensive backfield. Next up, Flores free agent number 2, also sticking in the defensive backfield. So the Vikings slot cornerback has not been great the last couple years. Mac Alexander for the second time, no good. Last year, Sean Sullivan, so now enter Nick Needham because that's like my buddy Nick at Thanksgiving. Nick Need Ham. Nailed it. But the Dolphins free agent, he's 26 years young, solid slot cornerback, was injured last year, was only limited to a handful of games, but 3 seasons under Brian Flores, 2019, 2020, 2021, 14 passes broken up, 6 interceptions during those 3 seasons. I think that he is going to be pretty solid in terms of value, and also coming here and playing under Flores again, I think that would fill a major need for the Vikings at potentially an economical rate. Next up, Flores free agent number 3, Duke Riley. So I'll admit, I like Duke Riley at LSU. I liked him when he was at Atlanta, whatever, with the Eagles, and now with the Dolphins. Career best season in 2021 with Flores. Yes, it was shortened, but I think that Riley, with knowledge of the scheme, could come in, and maybe he doesn't start opposite Asamoah. In fact, I would actually prefer it, but as a veteran depth guy, I think this one could make a lot of sense. Next up, Flores value for agent number 4 for the Vikings, John Jenkins. So John Jenkins, Jingleheimer Schmidt. No, not the Gopher Center, but John Jenkins, the ageless wonder at 33. He's 340 pounds. He's still going strong. He can still bring it. And that's the thing about nose tackles or defensive interior players in general. Like, they can still bring it into their early and mid 30s. Had a career year in 2021, the final under Flores, albeit in limited work. And Jenkins is the type of guy who, I wanted Linval during the season last year, just someone who can plug up some gaps. I don't care if they only play 2 downs. I don't care if they can't rush a passer. I really do not care. The Vikings need to stand their ground and not give up the line of scrimmage on early downs like they did over and over and over and over again last year, and John Jenkins could do that, and he's probably going to be super cheap, given his age. Next up, free agent number 5, Devin Bush of the Steelers. Now, yes, only 24 years young, the former number 10 overall pick out of Michigan in 2019. They did not pick up his 5th-year option because he'd been a disappointment in the first 3 seasons. Now, this year, under Flores, remember, Flores was assistant head coach as well as linebackers coach, so he's working directly with Brian Flores, improved as a tackler, and you could see just by the eyeball test, he was starting to show some of that potential that made him a top 10 pick in 2019. So the fact that he is going to be a free agent, it would make sense. Like, hey, Brian Flores helped me turn my career around, became a better tackler, a little bit better in coverage. So let me follow him to Minnesota, and maybe I'll join up with Brian Asamoah. And guess what? We'll be a dynamic duo at linebacker for a long time. It's possible, but I think Bush probably isn't going to bust the market. I think maybe he gets $3 or $4 million per year. It certainly is a nice low risk, high return potential spot for the Vikings and Brian Flores' new defense. One more, number 6. Just because of his name, linebacker, safety, Marcus Allen. The Vikings finally got Marcus Allen because they could have had him, but then they took Darren Nelson. Anyways, but Marcus Allen, Steelers safety, 26 years young. Well, he's a utility special teamer, can play linebacker, can play safety, a little bit of a hybrid. And since Brian Flores plays a lot of sub package in terms of a guy that can run with some tight ends, who can run with some larger receivers as well as running backs, and also be a contributor on special teams. Bottom of the roster type guy, league minimum. It would make a lot of sense here. He was a 5th-round pick in 2018 out of Penn State. But that's it. That's 5. Well, I guess 6. Value free agents with Flores ties. Again, you're not going to build your defense around him, but I think that a lot of these guys are familiar with the scheme or would be low risk, high reward, and it would make sense. I mean, the 90-man roster, it's a lot of names, and there's going to be a lot of changes on defense. So some guys with familiarity with Flores who could help establish the culture as well as help establish and teach some of the young guys the nuances of the new scheme. Bring it. Bring it, man. But that's it. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. We'll support the work. Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.